Greetings and salutations, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. You're watching Raven Review. I'm your host, Raven, and today we're going to be talking about NOS4A2 by Joe Hill. The book came out in, I believe, April 2013, and it is 720 some pages. We're going to go and have Miko tell you guys the synopsis or plot of the story. So go ahead, go for that, Miko.
Muchas gracias, Raven. Before I give you humans the synopsis of NOS4A2, I would like to say thank you to everyone that watches Raven Review. It really does mean a lot to Raven.
It's been 10 years.
So thank you very much, and let's see if we can get a 100 likes for this video. Okay humans, it's spoiler time.
1, 2, 3.
The book opens in a hospital in 2008. Charles Manx, a convicted child abductor, briefly wakes from a coma to threaten a nurse. Her coworkers don't believe her claim, because he exhibits only limited brain function. The book flashes back to 1986. Young Vic McQueen discovers that she can find lost things by riding her bicycle through the shorter way bridge. The bridge always takes her to the location of whatever she is seeking. Traveling this way takes a mental and physical toll on her. She has to lie about how she finds things, because the truth would not be believed. On one such trip, she travels to an Iowa library where she meets Maggie, a librarian that can use Scrabble tiles to determine the location of missing items or information. Similar to using the bridge, this divination process takes a toll on Maggie, causing a severe stutter. She warns Vic against Manx, whom she calls the Wraith, after the model of car he drives because she is unable to divine his real name. Vic travels home, but loses her bike and develops a terrible fever. Manx enlists chemical plant worker Bing to acquire a gingerbread flavored sevoflurane that the factory produces. Bing believes that Manx is taking the children to a place called Christmasland, where they can be happy forever, and uses the sevoflurane to incapacitate the parents of the children Manx targets. In 1996, a teenage Vic uses the shorter way after she has a fight with her mother. She asks her estranged father if she can stay with him, but he rebuffs her. Vic uses the bridge to travel to Manx's house, thinking that her abduction will hurt her mother. Once there, she attempts to rescue a child locked in the back of the Wraith, only to find that he is apparently in league with Manx and has rows of sharp brown teeth and cold mist coming from his nose. Vic barely escapes from Manx after his house catches on fire. She runs into overweight motorcycle rider Lou Carmody, who takes her to a gas station to call the police. Manx arrives at the same station to purchase gas, and is captured by the police after he sets fire to a serviceman. The story returns to 2008. An adult Vic had a relationship with Lou and gave birth to a son, Bruce Wayne Carmody. Unhappy and scarred by the past, she restores motorcycles and develops a successful series of children's books. She is tormented by phone calls from Christmasland's vampire children who chastise her for Manx's arrest. Vic's torment destroys her relationship with Lou, but they part amicably and she eventually recovers. Maggie appears on Vic's doorstep in 2012 and confronts her with the uncomfortable fact that Manx died in prison, resurrected himself, and then escaped. Vic denies this, accuses Maggie of insanity, and sends her away. Meanwhile, Manx reunites with Bing. They kill Vic's neighbors and move into their house, watching from a distance as Vic and Wayne repair an old motorcycle. When Vic takes the motorcycle for a test drive, Manx and Bing kidnap Wayne and severely injure Vic. Wayne is able to call Lou to alert him of the kidnapping. Vic calls the police to report the abduction, but they refuse to believe her since Manx is officially dead and they believe his body was simply stolen. FBI psychologist Tabitha Hutter is assigned to psychoanalyze Vic after suspicion falls on her of being involved in her son's disappearance. Despite a cell phone trace that reveals Wayne's location as Christmasland on a severely distorted map of the United States, Hutter doesn't believe Vic's story. Vic escapes protective custody and uses the shorter way to find Wayne. She arrives at Bing's house and he attacks her, but she kills him in self-defense by igniting his sevoflurane. Vic calls Lou, who is still with the police, and tells them about Bing's house, also giving Lou a hint to meet her at her father's house that the police do not understand. Then Vic takes the shorter way to Maggie's library. The two women search for answers using Maggie's Scrabble tiles. Vic discovers that the way to destroy Manx is to destroy his 1938 Rolls-Royce Wraith. Maggie is killed when Manx arrives at the library while Vic is sleeping. Narrowly avoiding capture by local police, Vic takes the shorter way bridge to her estranged father's house, where Lou and her father give her explosives that her father uses in his demolition work. Hutter and the police arrive to detain Vic. While Hutter seems to be willing to listen to Vic's version of events after she reveals information about Maggie's death that had happened only a short time earlier and many states away, the police under Hutter's command are more aggressive and shoot Vic's father dead when he attacks one to protect Vic. Vic and Lou escape, arriving at Manx's home. Vic leaves Lou behind and travels via the shorter way to Christmasland. She blows up the town, but one of Manx's children mortally wounds her. Manx and one of his two vampire daughters escape in the Wraith through the shorter way, but they are killed when the bridge implodes. Vic dies shortly after she and Wayne return to reality. Later that year, Lou has lost a lot of weight and has begun a relationship with Hutter. Wayne has nightmares about Christmasland in which he becomes one of Manx's children and participates in gruesome games. He feels that he is losing his humanity for real and is being transformed into one of Manx's creatures. Lou takes Tabitha and Wayne to the ruins of Manx's house. He smashes Christmas ornaments that are hanging around the property. As each ornament is destroyed, a child that Manx had kidnapped appears, restored to human form. Lou finds the ornament that represents Wayne and destroys it, apparently returning him to normal. In an alternate ending, included in a special edition but left out of the main edition, some of the ornaments escape destruction and Manx's surviving daughter and some other vampire children arrive into the real world.
With that all said and done out of the way, thank you, Miko. What do I enjoy about this book and why you guys should get this book? So the main three characters pretty much is Vic, Max, and Bing. They're the primary characters of this book. I really do like the book. I liked what they did with Vic and how we get to know her from childhood to adulthood and her becoming a mom and trying to get to know her dad and her mother and stuff like that. That's all really good, and I enjoy that part. But when you really get into her trying to figure out who Max is and what's going on with him and that he's possibly not human, and her discovering this, that's the part I really like, because that doesn't really come along until she's actually an adult, and a lot of people pretty much think she's freaking nuts, that she's crazy, and she's not. But her having to convince everybody of that is what the real challenge is, and I like how she goes through that struggle of trying to convince the police and the people that she cares about and considers friends and family and stuff like that, of like, I'm not nuts, this is what's going on. This guy, like, he kidnaps children and does horrible things to them and stuff like that. I thought that was really, really neat on how Joe wrote her character. It's not your typical, like, normal hero, and usually our heroes are like, oh, okay, so the hero said this, so this must be true.
For the honor of Grayskull!
kind of thing. Like there's like a lot of doubt, and everyone just kind of like completely utterly doubts her at all, and until the last minute. As far as being Max's, like, I guess, gopher errand boy or whatever. um I like how you definitely can tell that this guy has something wrong with him.
Think, think, think.
Or something like that. And the character just comes off as just really like like he wants to be a serial killer and stuff like that, and he wants to live up to being just like Max, but he never really does. He's always the sidekick, and you can tell that he's the sidekick and stuff like that. And um he's a bit of hillbilly, it's just, that's just what it is. That's, or at least that's my impression, that he's a little hillbilly. Maybe he might have Down syndrome, I don't know. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, so let me put that out there. But that's just how the character's written, or he comes off to me in that way. And I don't mind the character. I actually really do enjoy how the character is written, and you really kind of feel for Bing, like towards the end. He thought he was, what he thought he was doing was right. And I thought that was really, really neat on how Joe kind of wrote Bing as like everything that he's doing is for the greater good, and it really isn't. As far as Max, he's a great villain. I don't think he's human.
Fascinating.
In any way, even though they say that the character comes off as like possibly being human. I there's some kind of demon kind of thing going on there. I'm not too sure what it is, but him turning the kids into like little vampires and stuff like that in Christmas Land and stuff like that um is a definitely an interesting concept, because it doesn't show that he's actually killing the children. He's actually like, he's transforming them and turning them into like little minions over in this land. He does kill the parents, if he does come across the parents. It doesn't really get too much into the whole what he does with the bodies of the parents, but it definitely gets into like the really messed up stuff that he does to the kids, and how he transforms them into like these little vampire demon monsters. So I thought that was definitely an interesting concept of, what a serial killer, quote unquote, would be doing. So that gets me down to my rating. I'm going to rate it as this.
Shut up and take my money.
I really do like how Joe wrote the book. I liked how he goes through the three characters and like how they view things. So you get both sides of the coin. Like most books, it's just directly like first person or something like that. Like where it's just about the hero and the hero doing all these things and stuff like that. But we never really see through like the villain's eyes. You don't normally actually get to see like, or read more visually, like see in a movie like through the villain's eyes, like why they're doing what they're doing and stuff like that. And Joe actually steps that up one more step by letting us know like what Bing thinks. And he's pretty much, he's the fall guy, he's the assistant, he's the sidekick. And so you see through Bing's eyes of why he's doing what he's doing and stuff like that. Not just through Vic or Max's point of view, but you also see Bing. I thought that was really interesting. So you get these three different personalities of why they're doing what they're doing, especially like over by the cabin. There's that scene, and you see how all three of them see those events occur. And I thought that was really, really neat and interesting, and it really draws you into the book and allows you to have an understanding of like where everybody's coming and why they're doing what they're doing, and what leads to the actions that, you know, happen. So I thought that was really, really cool. I really, really enjoyed that out of the book. That's probably like the biggest highlight of the book that I enjoyed the most. Um, as far as the other characters, they're really neat. Meg is just a great character and stuff like that with her Ouija, her spelling letters and stuff like that, and her dad and stuff like that. I just, overall, you really get drawn into, this Nosferatu universe, and there's a lot of character development and understanding of where everybody's at and stuff like that. And I really, really, really did enjoy it. So, as far as other stuff that's kind of related to Nosferatu, I know uh, IDW put out kind of a comic book called The Wraith, which is based off of Max's car. It's a comic book based off of Nosferatu. I've never read the comic, but I've heard that it's actually pretty good. I'm not too sure when it came out, but if you guys definitely want, to have a general idea or concept of what Nosferatu is before you read the book, definitely I would recommend you check out the comic. I've read like a couple panels and stuff like that, and it seems to stick pretty close to the source material of the book. They definitely show these gruesome little kids that are like these little vampire demon kids and stuff like that. It seems like a good graphic novel, and I definitely, or when it comes down into being a graphic novel, I definitely want to probably pick that up because I do own the book of Nosferatu. Then I know AMC is coming out with some kind of like short movie or TV series. There's not really a lot of detail of exactly what AMC is doing with Nosferatu, but I definitely know it's called Nosferatu. So it looks interesting. I'll put the link to the trailer down below, and I'll also put a link to Wraith if you guys want to check out that comic down below. And yeah, so that should be everything about this book. If you guys definitely want to check it out, definitely check it out. Definitely read more of Joe Hill's stuff. I really do enjoy his writing style. It's like a modern day version of Stephen King. That being Stephen King, his being his dad, but he grew up as a Gen Xer, around the Gen Xers and the millennials and stuff like that. So the books are more directed towards us and our generation. So I think I really enjoy that. It's just something I think is well needed and definitely deserved, and just absolutely amazing. It's just, and I'm not trying to put Stephen King down. He's an amazing writer and stuff like that, but he always pulls everything back into like the 60s and the 50s and 70s. And I don't really know too much about that era, but Joe writes about the 80s and the 90s, and I know all about that because I was raised in that time. So I think that's the big reason why I think it's really neat. So, with all that said, I will quit babbling and talking, and thank you all for watching this video. I appreciate it. And don't forget to give someone a hug. May change today, may change your life. And we will talk to you all later. Bye.
Thank you for watching Raven Review. Please remember to push the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you know when a new video has been posted. Also don't forget to like or dislike the video you just watched. Then you can be a awesome person by sharing this video with all your friends on your social media networks. Have an awesome-tastic day and thanks for watching.